In the words of Winston Churchill, Russia is a riddle wrapped in a mystery, inside an enigma. Even today, years after the fall of communism, Russia retains a sense of mystery, and Russia's history remains a riddle.
Putin, nobody will arrest him. Rather, he'll arrest everyone. We will protect him, the people of Russia. It will be a pity if our president is arrested. I do not think that's possible. This is a public figure and the president of the country. How do you imagine? Any president has sovereignty. He cannot be arrested or imprisoned unless it's the decision of the internal government agencies.
Putin is a head of state. Do you think that a head of state can just be arrested anywhere? How many crimes have your country committed in Iraq? How many crimes have everyone else who's so vocal today committed in Iraq and Afghanistan? Have you arrested?
The acronym BRIC was coined in 2001 by Goldman Sachs chief economist Jim O'Neill to describe the emerging economies of Brazil, Russia, India and China. The term quickly became shorthand for the emerging market giants. As developing economies have sought a greater voice in managing the global economy, the acronym has developed into a partnership between the nations. In 2009, the inaugural BRIC summit was held in Russia in response to the global financial crisis. South Africa joined BRIC nations in 2010, and the group is now known as the BRICS. It's predominantly an economic partnership rather than a political alliance. Together, these countries make up 40% of the world's population. The BRICS are now building institutions to help emerging markets develop, including their own international bank based in China's commercial hub, Shanghai. The New Development Bank has $100 billion in authorized capital and aims to finance infrastructure and sustainable development projects in member states and developing countries. A $100 billion reserve fund has also been given the go-ahead by BRICS nations. Together, they're intended to provide an alternative to global financial institutions like the IMF and the World Bank.
BRICS is an acronym for an association of 5 major emerging national economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and represents a significant shift in global economic power away from traditional developed countries towards emerging economies. South Africa's inclusion in BRICS reflects its growing economic importance and influence in Africa. It provides the country with an opportunity to strengthen its political and economic ties and enhance its global standing. Hence the need for President Vladimir Putin to attend this year's BRICS meeting, as the two countries developed a cooperative relationship in various areas including politics, trade, defense, and culture. Sanibonani bantakwethu. Igama lami Andile Gugulethu, intombi yakwaCindu uMahlaba. A very warm welcome to the Alternative View. You know, as always, we bring you nothing but the most interesting, exciting, and hot topics across the globe. Thank you so much for the support and for watching as well. Now today, the topic is based on the current affair of President Vladimir Putin and President Cyril Ramaphosa. Now the topic has been on charts all over social media and news. Now, on the 17th of March 2023, as part of its investigation, the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for President Vladimir Putin.
17th of March 2023, the International Criminal Court has issued 2 warrants of arrest in the Ukraine situation. For Vladimir Putin, President of the Russian Federation, and for Maria Lvova-Belova, Commissioner of the Russian President for Children's Rights, for the alleged war crimes of deportation of children from Ukrainian occupied territories into the Russian Federation.
The President of Russia for Children's Rights, alleging responsibility for the unlawful deportation and transfer of children during the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Just the start in the process of accountability and holding Russia and its leader to account for the crimes and atrocities they are committing in Ukraine.
A significant decision, said Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, that will lead to historic accountability. Russia has never hidden that it's been taking such children, it says, in the name of protecting them, typically from places Russia itself has annihilated. Thousands of children sent to far-off camps and into forced adoptions in Russia. The ICC charges were condemned by the Kremlin. Outrageous, said a spokesman, null and void, noting the ICC has no jurisdiction in Russia anyway. Indeed, for Putin to be arrested, he'd need to first step foot in a country that recognizes the ICC, and while more than 100 do, that country would then have to agree to detain him. Still, for Putin, most travel, G20 meetings, for example, and the like, is now forever off limits. And while there's no immediate threat of incarceration, as a special advisor to the ICC told CBC News,
my hope is that the world community will not allow the perpetrators to enjoy impunity and that they will somehow, someday be brought to justice.
And Paul, all eyes will be on Putin again next week for another reason.
Yeah, that's right, Ian. Chinese President Xi Jinping makes his first visit to Russia since the start of the war in Ukraine. The U.S. and other Western countries will be watching very carefully for any signal coming out of that on how close China wants to get with Russia as that war grinds on. The U.S., for example, believes China is right now considering sending lethal weaponry to Russia, even as China has said it wants to promote a peace plan, something the U.S. in particular is skeptical of. Recall, Xi and Putin have declared their relationship to have no limits. It's a 3-day visit, Ian, beginning Monday.
On the 4th of February 2015, the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine appealed to the ICC to investigate crimes against humanity committed by Russian forces on Ukrainian territory since February 20th, 2014, and to hold accountable for the responsible senior officials of the Russian Federation. Ukrainian officials are investigating more than 16,000 suspected cases of forced deportation of minors. Russia, though, has acknowledged transferring 2,000 children without guardians. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa comes into this whole conflict as he's doing everything in his power for President Vladimir Putin to attend the BRICS meeting, together with the leader of EFF, Julius Malema.
South Africa right now calls itself non-aligned. In the context of the war, but these are two different things. South Africa is an ally of Russia. Now, the second question is, where does South Africa stand on the war? It says I'm a non-aligned in relation to war, but Russia remains South Africa's friend. So we cannot create confusion around there. Don't create an impression that it is Malema who's going to come and create an alliance with Russia.
But there are some very specific...
Actually, I will
go
beyond that. I will go beyond the friendship with Russia, and in the war, I will align with Russia, and I will even supply the weapons to Russia. Because Russia is in a war with imperialism, and any agenda that seeks to push back imperialist agendas, it's well within the policies of the EFF.
The EFF leader had challenged Premier Alan Wind on his promise that Russian president will be arrested if he sets foot in the Western Cape. Wind also slammed President Ramaphosa for inviting Putin to South Africa despite a warrant of Putin's arrest. After the break, more to come as I bring the main valid reasons as to why President Cyril Ramaphosa is in stance with President Putin attending the BRICS meeting. Please stay tuned.
The revolution shall be televised. JIT-TV, just in time.
Now, the Gold Mafia documentary became televised on the Al Jazeera channel.
Nonsensical documentary, a racist propaganda tool.
They have a right to sell their gold anywhere. In fact, I encourage Mnangagwa bust the sanctions.
The government of Zimbabwe is incurring no risk, but it receives the tax.
Please wake up to the reality and the real scam that's taking place here.
Nothing but the best interesting stories and the hottest ones on The Alternative View.
Shall be televised.
Welcome back. You are still tuned in to The Alternative View with Umaqindi Imenaloy. Now, despite the whole situation of the President Vladimir Putin, number one, Russia and South Africa have maintained diplomatic relations since the end of apartheid in South Africa in the early 1990s. Russia and South Africa have engaged in regular high-level visits, including exchanges between their respective presidents and ministers. Trade between Russia and South Africa has been steadily increasing. Both countries have expressed the desire to enhance bilateral trade and investment, particularly in areas such as energy, mining, aerospace, and agriculture.
The goal is to improve trade and economic cooperation between South Africa and Russia at a time when both nations are weathering turbulence in the global economy. International Relations Minister Nikona Mashibani and Russia's Minister of Natural Resources and Environment Sergei Donskoy are working to strengthen ties.
Energy cooperation is a significant aspect of the Russia-South Africa relationship. Russian companies have been involved in South Africa's energy sector, particularly in the development of nuclear power. They both have a history of defense cooperation dating back to the apartheid era.
While foreign leaders tend to shy away from visiting Moscow, South African presidents visit the Kremlin frequently. Following a tiring 2014 election, Jacob Zuma spent an entire week vacationing here, a time during which, it would later be revealed, the president signed a memorandum of agreement with Vladimir Putin to encourage South Africa's acceptance of nuclear power. Part of the agreement was for Russia's state-run nuclear energy company, Rosatom, to build 8 power plants at a cost of nearly $80 billion. But the reluctance of Zuma's finance minister to approve the deal led to his dismissal.
While acknowledging the influence of global political tensions on economies, attributing the decline of the South African rand solely to South Africa's stance on the Russia-Ukraine conflict would be challenging. Currency values are affected by various sectors, including domestic economic policies, global market trends, and investor sentiment. Additionally, considering the recession faced by Western economies, it becomes clear that the conflict alone cannot be solely responsible for the rand's performance. Recent media arguments linking to the rand's decline to South Africa's policy on Ukraine also do not adequately capture the full range of factors affecting the currency. Now, the speculation on President Putin's attendance in light of the ongoing conflict, recent events do not align with this assumption of Putin attending the summit. The decision for President Putin to attend the summit rests with the Russian government. Moreover, President Vladimir has attended and participated in multiple summits and events outside Russia during the current conflict without any issues arising. So considering this, it might, or rather, will be more strategic for South Africa.
Is Mexico breaking free from the shackles of Western dominance? In a jaw-dropping twist, Mexico has made a groundbreaking decision that will send shockwaves across the globe. Brace yourself as we reveal the unprecedented move of Mexico officially joining the BRICS alliance at the BRICS Summit 2023. Get ready to dive deep into the implications of this historic decision, from national security to economic transformations. Buckle up for a riveting journey as we uncover Mexico's path to redefining the global order. Welcome to a new era of international relations. This is a video you can't afford to miss. In a surprising turn of events, Mexico has made a groundbreaking decision to join the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. This decision, announced at the BRICS Summit 2023, has sparked a wave of discussions and speculations about its implications for Mexico's national security, economic prospects, and its relationship with the United States. Mexico's potential admission to the BRICS alliance holds significant implications for the country's national security. As highlighted in an article by StrikeSource, joining BRICS could potentially provide Mexico with greater leverage in dealing with domestic security challenges. The alliance's members have vast experience in combating various forms of threats, including terrorism and cyber warfare. Collaborating with these nations would enable Mexico to tap into their expertise and exchange valuable intelligence, thereby strengthening its security apparatus. Moreover, Mexico's entry into BRICS also raises questions about the future of the alliance itself. As discussed in the article by Eurasia Media Network, Mexico's inclusion could signify the alliance's expansion beyond its original framework. This move demonstrates the growing global influence of BRICS and their willingness to embrace new members. Additionally, the article highlights the possibility of Mexico adapting the BRICS currency, which could lead to a further diversification of the international monetary system. The decision to join BRICS comes at a time when tensions between Mexico and the United States have been escalating. As reported by the Mexican Daily Post, Mexico's interest in BRICS is partly driven by growing strains in its relationship with the United States. Joining BRICS could potentially provide Mexico with an alternative economic and political platform, reducing its dependence on the U.S. and offering new avenues for trade and cooperation with other member nations. From an economic perspective, Mexico's entry into BRICS could unlock new opportunities for the country. As discussed in a blog post by Digital Turbine, Mexico's economy is already positioned as a significant player beyond the BRICS nations. However, joining BRICS would further enhance its economic prospects and offer access to a larger market. The article emphasizes that Mexico's vast population, strategic geographical location, and abundant natural resources make it an attractive partner for the BRICS alliance. While Mexico's potential inclusion in BRICS holds promise, it also raises concerns about potential rivalries within the alliance. As explored in an article by the Wilson Center, BRICS member countries already face internal rivalries and differing agendas. Mexico's entry could potentially complicate these dynamics, as it would introduce another voice and perspective into the alliance. However, with effective diplomacy and cooperation, these challenges can be managed to ensure a cohesive and productive alliance. China, being a prominent member of BRICS, holds significant influence within the alliance. An article in the Mexican Law Review highlights China's role in the BRICS project and the potential benefits that Mexico could derive from aligning itself with China's economic prowess. China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, and its increasing investment in Mexico present opportunities for economic cooperation and infrastructure development. The potential accession of Mexico to BRICS has drawn the attention of other countries as well. As reported by Prensa Latina, several nations have expressed their interest in joining BRICS, seeing it as a viable alternative to traditional global powers. Mexico's decision to join could set a precedent and potentially pave the way for other nations to follow suit, further strengthening the alliance's influence on the world stage. The implications of Mexico joining BRICS are not confined to economic and security matters alone. The decision holds geopolitical significance as it challenges the existing global order dominated by Western powers. An article on Deutsche Welle explores how BRICS offers an alternative to the Western world and presents a new world order with a multipolar outlook. Mexico's inclusion in BRICS adds to the diversity and representation within the alliance, reinforcing the notion of a more inclusive and balanced international system. Mexico's potential entry into BRICS also raises questions about the future of its relationship with the United States. As discussed in an article by the Council on Foreign Relations, the decision comes at a time when U.S.-Mexico relations have experienced strains due to various factors, including trade disputes and differing approaches to immigration policies. Mexico's alignment with BRICS could potentially reshape its geopolitical positioning as it seeks to diversify its partnerships and reduce its dependence on its northern neighbor. Furthermore, Mexico's inclusion in BRICS may have implications for the global currency system. As mentioned in an article on Watcher.guru, there is speculation about Mexico adapting the BRICS currency. This could potentially challenge the dominance of the US dollar as the global reserve currency and provide Mexico with greater autonomy in its monetary policies. However, the transition to a new currency system would be complex and require extensive coordination among BRICS members. The decision to join BRICS also raises concerns and debates within Mexico itself. As highlighted in an article by the Jamaica Gleaner, there are discussions about the potential implications of aligning with BRICS on Mexico's sovereignty and national identity. Some argue that joining BRICS could lead to a loss of autonomy and place Mexico under the influence of powerful nations like China. Others view it as an opportunity for Mexico to assert itself on the global stage and diversify its partnerships. Critics of Mexico's potential membership in BRICS also point out the challenges associated with the alliance. As discussed in an article by Geopolitical Economy, there are concerns about the compatibility of Mexico's political system with the governance structure of BRICS. Mexico's democratic principles and its emphasis on human rights may clash with the autocratic tendencies of some BRICS member nations. Therefore, Mexico would need to navigate these differences and ensure that its values and interests are safeguarded within the alliance. Mexico's decision to join BRICS at the BRICS Summit 2023 is a significant development with far-reaching implications. It has the potential to impact Mexico's national security, economic prospects, and its relationship with the United States. Joining BRICS could provide Mexico with opportunities for enhanced security cooperation, economic growth, and diversification of partnerships. However, it also presents challenges in managing internal rivalries within the alliance and ensuring compatibility with Mexico's democratic values. As Mexico moves forward with its decision, it will be crucial for the country to navigate these complexities and leverage the potential benefits while safeguarding its national interests. The inclusion of Mexico in BRICS further reinforces the alliance's global influence and the emergence of a multipolar world order.
Russia's policy approach, global developments, and South Africa's domestic priorities can all impact the depth and direction of the relationship. However, overall, Russia and South Africa maintain diplomatic ties and continue to explore avenues for cooperation in various fields.
International Criminal Court. If Putin comes here in August as planned, your government will be obliged to arrest him. As head of the ANC, do you believe your government should and indeed will arrest Vladimir Putin?
If it was according to the ANC, we will want President Putin to be here even tomorrow.
You would?
To come to our country. But
you would welcome Vladimir Putin here right now?
Of course we will welcome.
A man who is being investigated for war crimes by the International Criminal Court.
We will welcome him to come here as part and parcel of BRICS, but we know that we are constrained by the ICC in terms of doing that. Putin is a head of state. Do you think that a head of state can just be arrested anywhere? How many crimes have your country committed in Iraq? How many crimes have everyone else who's so vocal today committed in Iraq and Afghanistan? Have you arrested them?
You know the impact that this stand of yours...
You're making a lot of noise about Putin instead of working for peace between Ukraine and Russia, and you failed to resolve the war. Where are the weapons of mass destruction? Tony Blair went to Iraq and claimed that there are weapons of mass destruction. Did you see anybody standing against that in the United Kingdom and Britain? More than millions of people have died in Iraq and Afghanistan, and there are no weapons of mass destruction. We know what the war is about.
Mr. Secretary General,
between Russia and Ukraine. We want peace. That's what is important, so that the world can thrive. And organs and institutions of the world that institute world peace must not be conspicuous by their silence in deciding decisively.
We don't have much time left.
Peace.
I want to bring it back to domestic South African politics before we end.
You know, I think this notion of international rules is very comfortable for some people to use when it suits them, but they don't believe in international rules when it doesn't suit them, because they don't apply international rules or law equally in all circumstances. So you can't say because Ukraine has been invaded that suddenly sovereignty is important, but it was never important for Palestine. It's very peculiar. If you believe in international law truly, then wherever sovereignty is infringed, it must apply. And this is the point we've been making, that we use the framework of international law unequally, depending on who is affected. And we are arguing that that must change. And one of the interesting changes that has occurred is the sudden movement, because Russia has invaded Ukraine, that we say, okay, let's not allow the Security Council to just have the veto and let it pass. We take it to the General Assembly. When some of us had been calling for the General Assembly to have a greater say, we never enjoyed support. But suddenly today, see, that's where international law begins to mean nothing. Because for some, we see it as a cheating, and for others, we see it as a benefit. So our argument is, let's revise the international multilateral system to ensure that we observe that post-1948 has arrived.
Unfortunately, though, it is the time to say our goodbyes to each other. Thank you so much for tuning in till the end. Please do make sure that you comment and catch us to all our social media handles. On Twitter, it is at JIT-Entertainment. Instagram, it is JIT-TV_ZW. And on Facebook, we are JIT-TVzw. Or rather, you can reach us to our website at www.jit-tv.tv to stream and watch all your favorite shows. But for now, that is all from me to you. Hope to see you again, same time.